Allen Cooper CPAs, located in the heart of East Nashville, offer a wide variety of tax services for individuals and businesses. Contact them at 615-257-0646 and visit their website, allcooper.com, for a full list of services.
Jeff Meeks and Chris Austin invite you to watch your favorite sports event at the Batters Box at 43 Hermitage Avenue in Nashville, Tennessee. The Batters Box offers shuttle service to all Titans home games. It's a great place for friends to gather for the game and after the game. So check out the Batters Box Bar and Grill, and thanks again for sponsoring the show.
Microcasting for your city. Talkopolis.
And welcome back, everybody, to Pit Pass. I'm Joe Williams. This is Larry Woody. This is the star of the show. You the man.
And it's a small galaxy, Joe.
It's all yours. He's not going there. Okay, he's going to give me a break today. A couple of things to wrap up with. I found this to be one of the most unique opportunities. Larry, it's a twofold thing. It seems that Dale Earnhardt Jr. does not have complete sponsorship for the 13th season yet. As a matter of fact, interesting number, 13 races, where the main sponsor has not been named yet. So that ought to tell you something about the economy, the cost, all that thing.
When the sport's most popular driver has trouble getting sponsorships.
I got to tell you something. Right. However, in a unique move, having heard the same piece of information, an organization known as the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA, sent an interesting letter to the Hendrick folks saying, you know, this would be a great opportunity for you to do a public service and run our logo on your car on those races for free. Larry, two thoughts come to my mind. One, the for free part, that's pretty gutsy. Secondly, with the Earnhardt family tradition of hunting and fishing, PETA, really?
That tells you what PETA knows. Now, of course, Junior's not quite the outdoorsman that the old man was, but Dale Sr. shot anything that walked, swam, flew, fluttered, and was a big fisherman too. I mean, he would leave a trail through the forest. So the fact that PETA would want to be associated with his son. Again, you know, Junior's not the hunter, fisherman, outdoorsman that his old man was, but
he still does some.
Somewhere the old man would be twisting if he knew that Peter was on an Earnhardt racing machine. Joe, we're safe to say Dale Earnhardt Sr. was never a member of PETA.
Well, you know, I think he probably was a member of the other PETA. That's people eating tasty animals, but that's an entirely different organization.
Funny story. Dale Earnhardt, as I say, he was a famous hunter, hunted the world, and he ate what he killed. And Terry Labonte told a funny story. They went elk hunting in Colorado, shot a big elk down in a ravine, and Earnhardt spent all day quartered the elk and carried it out and flew it home and put it in his freezer in North Carolina. And Labonte said, Earnhardt, you don't need to eat the elk. And Earnhardt said, nope, I shot him. I'm going to take it home and eat it. So to his credit, Earnhardt didn't just go out and shoot animals. He shot animals and took them home and consumed them. So that's one thing, I mean, among many things I admired about Dale Earnhardt Sr. But again, I'd be surprised if we see PETA on Junior's car.
I just thought it was interesting. Understand there's no comment from the Hendrick Motorsports Group on what may happen there. They've got their own issues coming up. The DuPont line of paints, automotive paints, have sponsored Jeff Gordon since almost his beginning in this sport. Just how much does big business revolve now around NASCAR? That portion, DuPont has sold their paint division, auto painting division, if you will. It makes the paints. However, DuPont will still be the sponsor, and they're starting their own apparently different type of paint. You'll start seeing that name come up probably the second half of the year.
And it's also some kind of automotive finish. And my question, and the one I haven't been able to find an answer to, is this the end of the Rainbow Warriors? You know, Jeff Gordon's famous, almost iconic red, blue, yellow paint scheme that just dazzled on the track, in which we saw when he ran his first race in Atlanta, you know, and it's become so familiar, maybe the most familiar car in NASCAR. Is that paint scheme over or not? And that's the question I haven't been able to find out yet. Will the new sponsor continue that paint scheme, or is it the end of the rainbow?
And so his first race is the last race of '92, I guess, in Atlanta.
The end of the rainbow.
Yeah.
You didn't get it.
Well, I got it. I just
Yeah, his first race.
Somewhere over
His
that
first
rainbow.
race at Atlanta was Richard Petty's last race. We
Yeah,
saw
here's where I was going to pull it in.
Right.
You know, most folks think of the modern age of NASCAR starting in '72 with the involvement of R.J. Reynolds. Is it possible that the Rainbow era started in 1992? Richard Petty ran his last race. Jeff Gordon ran his first race in the same event, and the Rainbow now has
come full cycle, baby. But you're right. It was
Neither one of us
very
called it.
symbolic. The end of one era, Richard Petty's era, and the beginning of a new era, the Jeff Gordon era.
As we look at a couple of last things to cover, do want to say hello to our friends up at Highland Rim. Got to remind you, Highland Rim will be opening very shortly. I want to say it's March 6th is Media Day. March 13th is their very first race. So that means the week before that, they're going to have an open practice. Guys, it is here. The local racing season is here.
Yep, it's at hand. And it's going to be fun to see how they do at the Rim this year. I'm anxious to see myself. We got a little taste at the end of last year. They got everything organized and ran a few races at the end, but this will be the first full season. I think they'll do well. I'm optimistic. The new ownership's optimistic. They're enthusiastic. They've put a ton of work into it, a ton of their own money into it. They didn't ask for a government subsidy to build the track and maintain the track. They went out and put their own money into it. So I think it's going to be an interesting season at Highland Rim, and I'm pulling for those guys up there.
One of a couple of other notes for you. First off, I want to say hello and congratulations to former Nashville track champ, former, I guess at the time it was Craftsman Truck Series Rookie of the Year, Willie Allen, his wife Kristen down in Bon Aqua, having another daughter enter the world, which means Willie is now wrapped again around that little finger. Daughters will do that to you.
Yeah. What a good guy, Willie Allen.
Yeah, he is.
He's one of those guys everybody pulls for, and he's a great talent too. He's one of those guys that's right on the cusp of making it big. I would really like to see Willie Allen get a break in this sport and get to drive with a good competitive team. I think he could do some big things. But congratulations to Willie and his new little girl.
Now, as we've talked about before, I'm hoping this is the last week that we have to end a Pit Pass this way. We kind of think of the full circle of life, and there's the start, and with the start, eventually comes the end. And unfortunately, we have lost yet another great local racing enthusiast and almost historian, I guess, Beverly Hamer. A longtime fixture at racetracks across this country and especially across the Southeast, and of course out at the fairgrounds, and one of the most ardent supporters of the Save Our Fairgrounds movement. Passed away earlier this week. Larry, it's losses like that you begin to feel, not just today and not just tomorrow, but on down the road. Yeah,
Beverly is not only a consummate professional, she was a great photographer, a great racing photographer, as good as there was in the nation right here in Nashville and at the Tennessee, and we frequently used Beverly's photographs because she was such a good photographer. And she traveled a lot of races. She rode to a couple of races with me and my buddy Don Christopher, Roadhog. I remember she rode to Daytona once with us and went to Talladega with us, and later laughed that she lived to tell about it. But Beverly was a wonderful person. She had a great sense of humor. She was talented. She loved NASCAR. She loved stock car racing. She did a lot for the sport. She'd make those wonderful photographs that she took around the track. She'd make them available to anybody. If magazines, newspapers, whomever needed a racing photograph, call Beverly Hamer, and she would probably have a photograph of that in her files, and she was always glad to share them. So another loss of a good personal friend. I thought the world of Beverly, and she'll be missed. In more ways than one. Yep. That will wrap it up for Pit Pass this week. Next week, when we come back, hopefully Larry and I will start handicapping just a little bit what we think is going to happen with the 2013 season. This time next week, we'll be looking for the Clash, Bash, as you said earlier, whatever we call it this year. Yeah. And then, of course, the week after that, full with the Twins and, the duels now. The duels and, of course, the running of the Daytona. The season is at hand. Yep. All that time you had off, it wasn't that much time to have off. I didn't have any time off. You don't take time off? No, of course not. You stop, you get old. I got to work for a living. I don't know about everybody else. Hey, thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week. For Larry Woody, I'm Joe Williams. We'll see you then on Pit Pass.